Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. And now I have told you before it comes, that when it does come to pass, you may believe. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
As you can see, God doesn't want you to be afraid. He wants you to be aware. Hi, I'm Dennis, and in this short video, we will show through Bible prophecy and current world events things that are coming into play from Daniel 11's prophecy. In these final days of human history, known as the time of the end, God has proclaimed in Daniel 11 the final events which will occur before the return of Jesus. Daniel 11:40-43 reads,
At the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. He shall also enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape from his hand, Edom, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon. He shall stretch out his hand against the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. Also the Libyans and Ethiopians shall follow at his heels.
Whether we believe it or not, we are in the beginning stages of World War III, and this world battle will not be a war between the right versus the left, red versus blue states, or communism versus capitalism. It will not even be a conventional war. It will be a holy war between papal-led apostate Christianity and radical Islam. At the climax of this confrontation, the papacy will call on the Christian nations of the world to unite together against radical Islam. If we look at past human history, we will see that there have been two prior wars between Islam and Christianity. In Revelation, it makes mentions of wars and mentions two woes, and a third and final woe that will hit our world before the end of time.
One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. The second woe is past, behold, the third woe is coming quickly.
The first woe spoken of in Revelation was the war in 1095 to 1291 AD, which was known as the Christian Crusades of the Middle or Dark Ages. The second woe in Revelation was a war which started towards the end of the Middle or Dark Ages in 1356 and ended on July 28, 1858. Again, these were wars between papal-led apostate Christianity and Islam. As you can see, the prior two woes each took hundreds of years to complete. The first woe, the Crusades, took 196 years to complete. The second woe, the Ottoman War, took 502 years to complete. This last and final woe, as Daniel states, will be as a whirlwind, which means it will come to completion swiftly, not hundreds of years as the prior two confrontations did. In case you didn't know, the world has been at battle with radical Islamic terrorism since February 26, 1993, when the parking garage of the World Trade Center in New York City was bombed by radical Islamists. Years later, on September 11, 2001, radical Islam once again attacked the World Trade Center and brought down two buildings by crashing jetliners into two World Trade Center towers. In my opinion, 1993 marks the starting point of the third and final woe of Revelation 11. Now, you may be wondering why I'm making reference to Christianity as apostate. It is because modern-day Christianity since 538 AD has drifted off the plumb line of biblical truth and has embraced and incorporated many pagan beliefs into the Christian faith. To understand and see proof of what I just said, be sure to watch our video series entitled Satan's Final Deceptions Revealed, the Three Angels' Messages. This short 13-part video series concentrates on Revelation 14:6-12, which is known as the Three Angels' Messages. You will see how Christianity has abandoned God's biblical truth. These messages are God's final warning to the human race just before the second coming of Jesus. We have entered into the final whirlwind stages of this last and terrible war between apostate Christianity and radical Islam referenced in Daniel 11. So, how will this all take place? As mentioned earlier, the prophecy of Daniel 11 lays out how this will all come into play. But first, we must understand some of the imagery of Daniel 11. Daniel 11 mentions two powers that will collide on the world stage at the end of time. These two powers compose different ideologies. The first power is known as the King of the North, which represents papal-led apostate Christianity. The second power is the King of the South, which represents radical Islam, aligned with far-left Marxist ideologies and atheistic communism. Make no mistake, radical Islam is determined to destroy Israel and take control of Jerusalem. But in order to do so, they must first destroy the Jewish nation and disable the powers of the United States.
On July 6, 2014, Abu Bakr al-Baghdad, the self-proclaimed caliph of the newly formed caliphate across Iraq and Syria, has issued a statement that Muslims should utilize the month of Ramadan to escalate jihad and fight for Allah. Baghdadi also said that Muslims should aim to take over Rome in order to own the world.
We've already witnessed the advancement of radical Islam through ISIS around 2004, which caused the world to awaken to radical Islam. But it wasn't until Islam made it clear concerning Rome in 2014 that Rome went into action. Radical Islam threatened to conquer and destroy Rome through the use of ISIS.
On August 7, 2014, Pope Francis appealed to world leaders on Thursday to help end the crisis in northern Iraq after a sweeping advance by radical Islamic State militants forced thousands of residents of Iraq's biggest Christian town to flee their homes. His Holiness addresses an urgent appeal to the international community to take action to end the humanitarian tragedy now underway, to act to protect those affected or threatened by violence, and to provide aid, especially for the most urgent needs of the many who have been forced to flee and who depend on the solidarity of others, the Vatican said in a statement.
It was shortly after the Pope made this appeal that President Obama asserted that America is coming to help. Rome banded together the United States and other Christian powers to take out and destroy ISIS. Let's now turn to 2023. We now see radical Islam banding together once again, but this time aligning with far-left Marxist ideology and atheistic communist nations to come against Israel and the United States. This latest war with Israel is an attack by the Palestinian militant terrorist group Hamas. Israel sees the alignment of radical terrorist groups with Russia, China, and North Korea as a sign that there is not much time left to take out the radical Islamic nations determined to destroy Israel. Israel sees that their time is short and must act now or be totally destroyed. Hamas is a proxy terrorist group backed by Iran. Even though the Palestinians are from a different religious Muslim sect than Iran, Iran is supporting them because they are warring against a common hated enemy, Israel. Israel is determined to completely destroy the Hamas militant terrorist organization and others who threaten Israel's existence. With Iran aligning with Russia and China, you can be sure that Iran will get their nuclear weapons sooner rather than later.
Wars have a way of clarifying a great many things and of reshuffling existing partnerships in profound ways. This is what's happening with Israel's views of China and Russia, which are now undergoing a redefinition because of its current conflict with terrorist organization Hamas. China's response to the crisis has been decidedly unfriendly to the Jewish state, with policymakers in Beijing refusing to condemn Hamas's terror rampage and actively seeking to curtail Israel's military response. Moscow has stayed largely mum, refusing to condemn Hamas's campaign of terror. It has also formally received representatives of the terror group in an effort to demonstrate its continued clout in the Middle East. Meanwhile, it has done little to back Israel's government, despite the ostensibly close personal ties between Putin and Netanyahu. All of which has left an indelible impression that Russia much like the Soviet Union before it, remains an enemy of the Jews.
The war with the Palestinians will continue to escalate and will draw Iran, the United States, and Israeli-aligned nations into the battle, which will cause the world nations to take sides. Even though there may be numerous temporary ceasefire to hostilities in the Gaza, this war will continue to escalate until the final climax referenced in Daniel 11 happens. I don't know the day or the time frame when this final battle will come into climax or how long it will last, but Daniel 11 lays it out like this.
At the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. He shall also enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape from his hand, Edom, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon. He shall stretch out his hand against the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. Also the Libyans and Ethiopians shall follow at his heels.
After this great war is finished, papal-led apostate Christianity will have wiped out radical Islam for good. All Arab nations will follow at his heels, or will do as this Christian coalition dictates. After this great war is finished, the world will fall into a false sense of safety. It will be proclaimed that the world is a safe place again, but this is not to be the case. No one is safe now because the final biblical prophetic events written in Revelation will take place through apostate Christianity.
For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape.
What will occur in the aftermath of this World War III battle victory is what Christian circles call the Great Tribulation. This will be a time when the world will follow after the Antichrist power, which will capture the control of the world through apostate Christianity. This will be the time referenced to Revelation concerning the image of the beast and the mark of the beast. If you wish to know who this Antichrist power is and how it will take over the world, you need to watch our video series entitled Satan's End Time Deceptions Revealed, the Three Angels' Messages. In this short video series, you will discover who the Antichrist is, what the mark of the beast is, and what 666 truly represents. You will also understand how Christianity moved off the plumb line of true biblical Christianity, and you will see that Revelation 14:6 through 12 is God's final warning to mankind just before the return of Jesus at the second coming. Be sure to watch this very important video series. And one more thing. If you would like a more in-depth presentation and understanding of the prophecies of Daniel 11:40-43, then be sure to watch Tim Roosenberg's video series entitled Islam and Christianity in Bible Prophecy. In Tim's video series, you will see how Daniel 11 presents how this end-time prophecy has been and will be played out over time. I strongly suggest you watch this amazing and informative video series entitled Islam and Christianity in Bible Prophecy by Tim Roosenberg. Please see the link below. And on a final note, if you do not know or have drifted away from God, please consider what we have presented in this video. Satan mocks those who reject Jesus, knowing they will suffer the second death. Remember, what you believe does not change reality. The reality is God exists and wants nothing less than to have a personal relationship with you through his Son, Jesus. Please hearken to his call in your life. If you do not have a relationship with Jesus, please consider turning your heart and your life over to Christ. Well, this concludes our video about the coming final holy war. We hope that God has awakened you to what is hitting the shores of this world. So, until we meet again, stay close to Christ and, as always, stay the course.